What's up, guys? It's James with This Week in Airsoft, and as promised, I am here with the man with the plan, okay, Mr. Jet the Desert Fox.
What's
What's
going
going on,
on,
man?
guys? What's up?
Man, I'm glad to have you back. Jet's a friend of the show. This is like the third or fourth time you've been on. We're so glad to have you on.
Yeah, no, this is
Um,
awesome. I love This Week in Airsoft. Very informative stuff, always up to date. Very credible source for all your needs airsoft.
well, there we go. I'm going to be using that and tattooing on my behind, so everyone will be able to see it. But yeah, no, we're glad to have you on, man. We are glad to have you on. You've been doing big things, going lots of ops, being very, very busy. That's awesome. Um, you were at let's see, you got a great video that I posted up, and that's been out for I guess a few days now. It's the video of the op in South Carolina. What's it called?
Oh,
North
Ironclad?
no, North Carolina. I'm sorry.
Oh, Folder Gap?
Fold the Gap. So you got that.
Okay,
That's a great
okay.
video. And I was telling you
Thanks.
before time, I love that video. I think it's really cool. It's not your usual style of kind of like the storytelling, but I think it like I told you, it sums up what Fold the Gap's all about, and it has this really high
Yeah.
intense action. And tell Leah, okay, she was looking badass there. She's throwing that
With that
steel up,
stoner? Yeah, with
yeah,
that
man. She
stoner?
picked that stoner
Yeah.
up, and it's funny. There's a kid who's like off to the side, and he's like. His
That's
face.
that was pretty much my expression too. Like as soon as she started shooting it, like I went over her shoulder with the camera and I was just like, "Oh yeah!" Like I bet if I probably if I uploaded the raw footage, you could probably hear me just like getting a MilSim boner in the background, just like, "Oh, that plastic." Ugh."
No, it was awesome, man. That was a great shot. That was a great shot. Um,
Thanks, thanks.
but yeah, man. So you were there. You were at Ironclad. You were at. Oh yeah, and our buddy Dylan, he wanted to be on tonight. He interviewed you at Ironclad. We got that up there on our site. And you were
Okay.
also
Yes, I remember that.
at MilSim West.
Yes.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
Okay. All right.
About what's it called? What's the name?
Jump to Crimea.
Jump to Crimea. I was gonna say crossing Crimea. Jump to Crimea. So, jump to Crimea. So we interviewed MilSim West maybe a year and a half ago, or maybe
Okay.
a while back, and they told us about their ops and what they were about, and we were really excited about them.
Mhm. Mhm.
But they're in Washington State, and there's so many other things going on. We didn't get to go to any of them. That said, the op, you know, hearing about it and seeing just even your first like 10 minutes of video, the little interview period you have ahead, and then the whole jump and everything, it was amazing. I mean, I was blown away. For you, somebody who's been to all these various different MilSim ops, you've been to big ones, small ones, poorly organized ones, extremely organized ones you hosted yourself, ones you built from the ground up, that have been massively popular, 10 vs. Bob series. Tell us,
Yeah.
and a military man, you know, what did you think? Like, what did you think you were getting into? What came of it? Like, how did you feel when you got there and you're like, holy crap, this is what this is?
Okay. So one thing that you really have to understand before I can even begin to talk about MilSim West is MilSim West compared to all the other event organizations out there, such as American MilSim, Black Sheep, Lion's Claw. MilSim West is a category in itself. It is nothing like anyone else is producing, and that's due to the amount of immersion and their ethos, which is the suspension of disbelief. Basically, think about going to just any other kind of milsim game or operation, and they say, okay, if you capture point alpha, you will gain an airstrike. Okay, so you go over there with your squad, you capture point alpha, and then they go, okay, where do you want this airstrike? And you go, I want airstrike on point XYZ. Normally, since we don't really have airplanes in in airsoft,
Right.
a dude will go over to point XYZ with, I don't know, maybe like a Thunderbee and some red smoke or something, or maybe not even that. He'll just run over there and throw a frisbee and be like, all right, everyone in this 25-foot radius is now dead. A B-52 notionally came over and dropped a Jerry dam on you all. You're all vaporized, and everyone just goes, oh no, man, that sucked. Okay, MilSim West if they cannot in some fashion reproduce what they are trying to convey, they will not do it. So they have a mortar system that works just like a real mortar system. Your forward observer calls in coordinates of a grid point, actual grid points on a map, back to a mortar team back at the base. The mortar team has this custom mortar that fires essentially 12 gauge blanks. So this thing, once it fires, you can hear it from like a mile and a half away. Then another guy, another game staff guy, who hears this traffic goes, okay, those coordinates are at this area. He drives over there and starts throwing actual pyro, like fireworks, all across the grid coordinates that you start calling. And people, what's great about MilSim West is the player base too. Everyone understands like the whole acting out your death adds more realism. You just see guys dropping left and right, screaming, and it's like just the sights of the explosions and the sounds of everybody yelling and the background noise of the mortar going off. It just adds into this just whole new type of immersion that I've never really experienced that in MilSim, other than maybe Irene. But even at Irene, everyone was yelling, "Call your hits, mother effer." So not really too immersive, but
yeah.
MilSim West is just a whole nother category. In fact, I've had to even rethink my hierarchy of airsoft when it comes to from this past experience at the MilSim West op. And my hierarchy is this pyramid where the base was, pickup players, and you've got backyard airsoft is the base. The next step up in the pyramid is pickup games. Then you've got operations and events, and then the very top of that was, MilSim, which would be stuff like American MilSim, Black Sheep, and John Liu. Now, to me, I'm just like, man, like I feel like the tip of that pyramid is now just like that very apex of the pyramid is now MilSim West, because that just a whole nother level of immersion into airsoft that I've experienced at Jump to Crimea. It was there were times where I felt like I was back in the military at a training a field training exercise, with the type of stuff that we were doing. There were actual orders. One of the things that I thought was hilarious, but also pretty dang cool, is after I registered for the game, I was sent through via email a set of fake orders. Like you would get, like if you were being sent to go, like if you're going to go get stationed in Kuwait or you had orders to Iraq, I had a set of fake orders emailed to me. And I told Call Sign Hollywood this, and the both of us, we're both veterans, and he had the same reaction I did, like, oh, that's hilarious, and also kind of cool. Like you don't get that sort of stuff with AMS or John Liu. You just get your receipt, like you purchased your ticket, good job, sweet. So yeah, that was another aspect just outside of the game that was awesome.
Did you feel like because when I saw your video and you're doing your kind of talk over and you're showing like the other promoters' logos coming over top and you're kind of saying, there's other people offering a MilSim experience. The way you're leading in, it's kind of like, and I'm thinking to myself, and like I said, we've talked to them before, right? So as you're leading in, I'm like, he feels it. He's got that. I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice. You're like, this is something special. And I said, if Jet starts going to MilSim West ops, this is really good for airsoft. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass or make you feel like a big dude. I mean, you're just a regular guy, just playing airsoft. But a lot of people watch your channel, and when you elevate your game, a lot of other people will. And I think that MilSim West is definitely an elevation. They're just for that stuff they do. I mean, I don't know. I'm the kind of guy, I like that kind of stuff. Like to me, I wasn't in the military, so for me, I would get like, the quote unquote MilSim boner,
Yeah, no, this was
like getting orders. That'd be cool.
It was a great, like, for honestly, if you have never served and you really want to experience what it is like to be in the military, MilSim West is probably the best representation that you will ever have aside from signing a 4-year contract and going overseas. Like there was so much stuff just pre-game, in the game, and then after the game that I was just like, wow, this is very well organized and very well thought of. So let me just go through some of the highlights at Jump to Crimea that it was basically like, okay, yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I felt like I was going to jump into Crimea. So upon getting to Camp Rylea in I think it's Washington. I forget what state it was, but upon arriving to Camp Rylea and the registration, so registration is two completely separate areas. The Russian registration is on the other, like another side of the base from the NATO registration. You never see a Russian soldier the whole time you're checking in into NATO. Like I didn't see a single Russian soldier until Friday night when we made the assault into the town. That's the first time I ever saw any Russian guys, and I didn't even get a clear look at them because it was so dark. And I mean, it was the same thing in Iraq. I don't think I
Yeah.
ever saw an insurgent or an enemy fighter when I was in Iraq
It's like
because
this
they
is
were
what
just
they look like. Yeah.
yeah, they look like this. That look at the PowerPoint presentation. You see that guy, shoot him, whatever. So two completely separate registration areas or check-in areas. After you checked in, you were issued your ammunition, your BBs. Like you only get like like that bag of BBs that comes in the AEGs. You get like a bag a little bit bigger than that, and that has to last you until resupply. So there's not dudes out there that are just like, yeah, just I'm effing Rambo. Like people are like, okay, I've got probably like a handful of BBs. I'm probably going to time my shots or distribute the ammo more selectively. Like saw gunners were a huge deal at this game. Just people able to lay down a lot of BBs down range. Like, man, it had like I know at American MilSim they have uh, the single shot rule for all riflemen, and LMGs can go ham and stuff. But the rifleman still has about 1,500 rounds on him, or 15,000 rounds, or something within that number. I mean, at the MilSim West game, I had like 4 mags, and that was kind of it. Uh, so you got issued your mag, you got issued your ammunition. Then after that, you had to go to gear check, and this is actually a very crucial part in terms of making sure everyone has the right equipment for just basically just maintaining on the field because this is a 40-hour nonstop game, and also in terms of safety. So there were a couple of things in the gear list that was emailed to you. You got this big long list, and there were things that were bold red, like you had to have these items in order to get on the field, and you had to open up your bag, lay out all your stuff, and they would just go down the list, and you'd have to hold it up. So if it was like, do you have a canteen with water? Hold up your canteen with water. Do you have a sleeping bag? You hold up your sleeping bag. If you did not have something in red, you could not play the game. Like you would just you'd be turned around, or you'd be turned away until you like went down the street and bought it, at the Walmart or something.
Right.
But I mean, it was in terms of safety. Like, you're gonna play for 40 hours straight. You have to have water. We're camping inside the buildings that we take over, or maybe out in the forest after a patrol. You have to have a sleeping bag. Um, the whole jump into the AO, the jump part. I thought they did that really well. Aside from having a real airplane, they put us all in the back of this U-Haul with the red light. That part to me, I felt like that was probably one of the cooler parts of the video. Um,
Let me tell you, this is for me, and like I think like a lot of airsofters who didn't serve, and our motivations for getting into airsoft was because we're like military fanatics and gun nuts and that kind of thing.
mhm.
Um, for me, someone who obsesses over little details like that in militaristic stuff, and in the little minutia of the military, um, almost like an impressionist, but not quite. but for someone at that level, I see you. We're looking at through your eyes, and they're like hook on, and then the light's red, and I'm like, if that light turns green, I'm gonna cream my pants because that's like so legit. And I was like, and I said to myself, it won't turn green because they're just having it red. It's to build atmosphere, but turning green, that's like an extra thing. They'd have to build something special to do it, and then it's
Yeah.
like, man, I was like, oh shit, like
It
that.
turned green.
Yeah, I was like, so cool because
Ah!
it flashes back to everything I've ever seen in any movie about guys jumping static line, and they have you hook on. I mean, and you think it's such a simple thing, but it
Yeah.
really tells the story and sets the tune. Like, I'm waiting with bated breath for the next videos. I'm like, when are they coming out? I check your freaking thing every day like a crackhead because and I normally don't. Normally I just let kind of YouTube decide what airsoft videos I'll watch. I'll just say, well, what do you
Yeah.
think, YouTube? It's like, oh, Jet the Desert Fox had a video came up 3 days ago. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go watch it. Now I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Did he?
Yeah. Is,
No,
is
no,
the
no.
new JTC? Is it uploaded?
Okay, so continue.
Okay, so yeah, so the jumping out of the back of the U-Haul, that was actually, I mean, it's not really too scary. You did have the option if you didn't have to jump out of it. Like the very last insertion of troops was basically the U-Haul pulled up, came to a complete stop, and let everybody off. But I mean, for the video and just for the sake of doing it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump out. Uh, if you look very, very closely, this is kind of funny. At the video, you can see the guy ahead of me. He steps off and just kind of
Yeah,
like, um,
yeah,
I I didn't really want to do that for two reasons. Number one, my leg is already hurt, and so they were like, if you step off like that, there is the chance that you might go sideways or something will just misjudge. So I just figured it would be better to just stop, drop, and roll like a controlled fall, basically a controlled fall. So that's what happens in the darkness that you can't see.
yeah. I
Um,
was debating when I saw that. I was like, I wonder if Jet went to jump school because I was thinking because we Javier, the old host, went to jump school, and we did a weekly thing of the airsoft jump school. And so I have videos on the training and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, legs together, bend the knees slightly. I was like, did he? I was like, is that what he's doing? And I saw the other guy step off, and I was like, that ass.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
don't break my immersion, dickhead.
yeah.
um. So how did they like? Did they tell you, or did they say, get board the plane? This is what we're gonna. Did they ever say this is a truck, but we're gonna pretend it's a plane, or was it just like this is happening and you're gonna hook onto the line? Like they didn't even acknowledge that this wasn't a plane.
I mean, they did a very good way. They did a very good job of balancing like the realism and then like the immersion part.
Right.
Like everyone who was gonna do like the actual like you know MilSim jump, I'll say that, or imaginary jump, whatever. Well, it wasn't imaginary because we physically did it, so I'll just say MilSim. So everyone who did the MilSim jump had to go through a course of very brief instruction on like what was going to happen. Like everyone, like they went over all the orders. Like okay, everyone's gonna get in single file, make 3 columns or 3 rows. You're all going to sit down, and then the jump master or the staff guy will say, "Okay, everyone stand up," and everyone will repeat it so everyone's on the same page. Go through all the motions, and then you're going to gracefully hop out of this, moving U-Haul. You can't really see it in the video, but I mean, they're only going about like anywhere between 5 to 10 miles an
Yeah, it
hour.
didn't look like they were going that fast.
Yeah, they were going fast, but like when it's dark and like for me, I was kind of concerned. I was like, "Oh man, this thing's going a little bit faster than I anticipated." Like I threw my med bag out first, and it was just like gone in the darkness, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, we're going pretty fast." I know later in the night there was another jump where like the driver was hauling ass, and it got a little hairy carry for those dudes.
Wow.
But no one was injured. Uh, and it took probably about 20 minutes for everyone to get to the rally point, and this was all covered in the brief. Unfortunately, it couldn't be portrayed in the video because it was. I mean, there was a
Right.
full moon out, but it was still dark as heck.
No, yeah, yeah. For a
Yeah,
camera, how can you do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, at that point, we jumped in with I don't know, a truck full of dudes. I probably walked to the rally point with like 5 guys. I felt like it was Normandy at some points because there were people just spread out throughout the entire AO, and you'd pick up groups of guys, and it like that was kind of the fun part.
It's like, oh,
And
our chalk got broke up, and these guys went that way, and what unit are
yeah,
you? And you just pick up random dude. That's cool, man. That's really
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah. There were times where it was like, "Who are you? Who are you?" You know, like we knew we were, we knew that there were enemy patrols out too. So you had to be. It wasn't just like, "Hey, what team are you on?" or "What unit?" It was, the pass and then the uh, can't even think of the word right now.
Yeah,
Uh, just basically the password and then the return
yeah.
word. So there was a crap ton of that going on. I mean, it really it was fun, because you were in the dark looking for people, and then we finally got everyone to the rally point, and then we made the assault.
Did
And
they
then
did they drop off? Because I know in the video he says, you might get lost too far back from the, you might get dropped off in the wrong place, something like that. Did that happen to guys?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, it happened to
Okay,
dude.
so they kind of intentionally kind of inserted that stuff. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I
It's.
actually don't know if they did it intentionally. I think that stuff just happened. Like
Oh, okay,
yeah, it
okay.
just like there was a lot of things that a lot people don't understand that there's a lot of logistics behind going to war and moving people around. Stuff doesn't always go as planned. Like just look at D-Day for instance.
Right, yeah.
Planes veered off all over the place. People landed at the wrong beaches. Because it takes a lot to move. From point A to unknown point B, and people are trying to kill you. So same kind of goes in BB wars. You're trying to move all these dudes from point A to a perceived point B, but between there's a little bit of that fog of BB war, and the truck goes a little faster maybe
Right.
on your run, maybe it goes a little slower. Uh, there was an issue with range control at one point. They had to stop the truck. So those guys who I don't even know where the hell that chalk ended up. Uh, so yeah, just little things, but it added to the realism in my opinion, because like crazy stuff happens like that all the time.
Right, right, right. No, I think that's really cool, man. I think that's awesome. Just the truck thing and like the nighttime. We've been saying for a long time, and like I said, I've never been to one of their ops. But we were saying earlier this year, that's for a long time in this week in airsoft terms. Earlier this year, we were saying guys should start the op at night. That way
Yeah,
you can have like a really good night op, and then build it in. When guys are fresh, because that's why a lot of those 24-hour and 40-hour, 30-hour ops fails because guys start the op early in the morning and let guys run all night, and then at nighttime the place is a ghost town, and guys are like, I didn't get my money's worth. What happened during the night? Nothing. It was a
yeah,
ghost town. People were sleeping in their car. So that's you start the op at night and you let it go all the way through. That way, um, and
yeah,
the U-Haul thing, I think they did it well because if I don't know if you've been to any Black Sheep ops, but Black Sheep has always caught a lot of stuff because
mhm,
he uses U-Hauls too as helicopters, which is reasonable because this is airsoft.
yeah,
And guys are like, oh, it's a U-Haul. You know what I mean? But you don't get the vibe from what they did. Like they did enough to make you feel like to bring the immersion in. You say, oh, I'm jumping.
yeah,
The
yeah,
load, the jump master and stuff like that. And I think
mhm,
for airsofters, we're fans of the military. We're fans of that. Very cool. So tell us about.
yeah.
I don't want you to give out everything because you got more videos coming out. And obviously, guys are gonna, everyone's gonna watch this, and they may not watch your videos because it's so in depth here. But, um, but tell us about the contact and these Australian SAR guys you were with, the SSAR, the SASR
Okay,
battalion
yes.
guys you were with. Well, tell us about them.
Okay. First let me digress a little bit to the C-130.
Sure, yeah,
So, like you hear that C-130 noise in the background?
yeah,
I didn't put that in.
yeah.
They
No, I figured they were playing that.
they were playing that inside the U-Haul. Like that's not an added effect for me or a sound effect. That was them playing it full blast. Like when I was in there and they turned it on, I was just like, that's pretty dang cool.
It
And
helps the
then
immersion, right?
yeah, and then the dude singing Cadence, they just did that on their own too. Like I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't really want to
Oh.
sing it just because I don't I don't really like hearing my singing voice over the video, and I thought it sounded better coming from everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Right. Right.
so let me start off with the SASR unit that I was with. That was a group of my buddies from Southern California. We've all been well. They're from another team. The team has recently changed names. I don't want to get the team name wrong, but I know it's a Russian. It's a Russian unit. I think it's called. I think they're called Alpha Group now. But the old team that they were a part of was the Regiment. They're mainly known here in SoCal, but they have a new team name now. A lot of those guys work at Airsoft GI. Just shout outs to some of my buddies, Spencer, Johan, and Ducky. So awesome.
Okay,
Game was definitely made a lot funner with going with friends, as every airsoft game is. No one ever
right,
wants to go to a game alone.
sure, yeah.
So their whole team basically, was like, okay, to run any kind of kit at a MilSim West game, you have to have at least 9 other guys. So you could do any crazy NATO force, or yeah, basically it mainly applies to the NATO force. As long as you have 8 other dudes that are willing to get the same uniform and same kind of kit requirements as you. So we had like a Navy SEAL unit with AOR 2. We had our SAS unit. Um, we had some Force Recon Marine impressions, and then we had another. Like you could have done. People could have done like a German a kit. If one guy did have some German stuff, if you would have got 8 other guys, they could have done a full blown Flecktarn kit if they wanted to. So if you've got some crazy like NATO uniform that you've been dying to wear, hit up Milsim West. You can wear it. You just need to have all your buddies wear it with you. So those guys did their hardest too to not break the immersion of sounding Australian
Yeah, I heard them. There
the
was like
whole
every other word was
weekend.
"Oi, mate." I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
God."
I mean, as a disclaimer and to prevent the flaming in the comments, they know that their accents were horrible. They were mainly just like, okay, this will be a mix of Australian drunken pirate
Yeah,
accent, and that's
yeah.
pretty loosely what it comes down to. You'll hear more of it in the series, but they pretty much talked like that and tried to act Australian as they saw. I mean, just short of trying to be just Crocodile Dundee in
Right.
every conversation.
It's like, "Oi, this is a knife." You're like, I've heard that
Yeah,
13 times this
yeah,
weekend."
guys, it's 9 a.m. I've heard that like
Yeah.
8 times already.
Right, right. That's cool, man. That's awesome. So you knew those guys. Okay, all right, cool. Um, and were they recognized as an Australian SAS like team by Milsim West, or it was like you can do whatever uniform thing you want as long as you bring 8 other guys, and that was just how it was. They weren't like recognized and worked into the story or anything like that.
I mean, it loosely does because they keep it very broad by just being like NATO
NATO.
forces
Okay,
and
so
then
yeah.
Russian or whoever else that they're fighting.
Okay.
Like they have kind of a budget Russian faction, I'll call it, for the guys that because Russian kit is expensive. Like
Right.
I kind of want to go as a Russian soldier to their new event down here in SoCal in Clovis, road to Rostov. But Russian kit is pretty dang expensive, or at least the uniforms are. Um, but they have another faction called the Cossacks, and it's basically just civilian attire with very limited gear and AKs. So if you want to go to a Milsim West game and you don't have like crazy NATO cry or die kit or hardcore Russian stuff, you can go as a Cossack and just show up in jeans. You can just show up as Russian mercenary and it'd be close enough.
All right, cool, cool.
Because I thought about that too, but then I think that wouldn't mesh well with the depth of immersion and the ridiculousness of Russian mercenary.
I feel like that would have been great though. I feel like that'd be like I told you earlier. I think the Russian mercenary kid is dead on. You know, I feel like it's half like I just came from a soccer game, and the other half I'm running down the street with a firebomb. You know, like that's what I feel like the Russian mercenary character is. You know what I mean? Um, uh, okay, so give us. You know, we got more videos coming out. Give us your overall thoughts as far as like a 40-hour op. You know, what kind of guts it takes uh, for you was it like a shock to the system, or were you like you kind of slipped back into your military mindset where you're like, okay, I can handle this, no big deal? Like there was not a time when you were like, I need to go to McDonald's in the middle of this and get some lunch, and you can't because obviously you can't do that in that op.
Right, right. For me, yeah, pretty much exactly what you said. For me, I just kind of reverted back to like, okay, I remember everything I did at training, and this is pretty much the same thing. So I'm just gonna, revert back to those old ways. We did have guys though that legitimately were just like, not in our group, but I know there are some NATO guys and some other Russian guys that were just like, hey man, like they would go to like Josh Warren, and be like, hey dude, I gotta go, do this thing. I'm not feeling well, or I don't know. It's very odd. People feel like they have to say, give you some kind of excuse or whatever to
Right.
leave, which isn't the case. I mean, if you got to do stuff or it's just not your thing, just hey man, it's not really my cup of tea. I can't I can't hang with the 40 hours. I need to go sleep in a bed. I got back problems or something. You don't have to. If you cop out, whatever. It's no one's gonna judge you.
Right.
Everyone's there playing soldier anyway.
Right.
So there were some people that were like that. From a civilian side, I think a lot of my buddies who've never served a second in their life were just I mean they go in as long as you go in there knowing that you will be in the game for 40 hours. Like you need to bring enough food for about 2 days or so. Warm clothing for the nighttime, be able to just sleep in very uncomfortable uh, quarters or conditions, very austere conditions as
Is that
well.
the word?
Yeah,
Austere?
austere. Yeah, that's my word for I forgot my yoga mat thing and had to sleep on hardwood. Uh, I mean, it does take a specific amount of guts or intestinal fortitude, as I'll say, to endure that sort of thing. Especially on the NATO side, like the Russian guys, since they had their own separate barracks that had like showers and like bathrooms and whatnot. Like for all the NATO dudes, we just had the buildings that were on the mount town and porta potties. So yeah, we were
Mm.
roughing it, I'll say. I mean, obviously it could get worse than that, but that was our conditions compared to the Russian conditions.
Right. Okay.
Now at
Okay.
RTR though, the game coming up in February at MilSim West in SoCal, I know both teams will have a combat outpost that they will also have to halfway construct. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How did the how did the like how did respawning and that kind of stuff work?
Oh, the respawn rules are pretty dang awesome in my opinion, because it touches on a lot of levels that that get a little overpowered in regular milsim games. So a normal milsim game, we'll use AMS, American Milsim, because I'm most familiar with that, and I think it's a pretty good set of rules for the
Right.
for what they are. So Milsim West, you have medics, you have appointed or not Milsim West, American Milsim, you have appointed medics, and then everyone has to carry an IFAC with two bandages. Only the medic can bandage you, and you get the maximum of those two bandages, and then after the third time being hit, you have to go back to the respawn point. The way it works for Milsim West, it touches on two levels. The the actual like if you were hit, you don't need the medic, you can do buddy aid, and then also medics have and me being a corpsman, this really, really like I was just like, wow, this gives people more of an idea as to how hard my job was. So the medic has to carry a med bag, and inside that med bag, he's got water bottles. Those water bottles are basically just like no, the number of respawns you're carrying for your squad or your unit. So
Okay.
Milsim West, here's what happens: you get hit, act out your death, or most people acted out their deaths. I saw a couple of people that were like, hit," and it's like, come on, man. But I saw some Oscar worthy stuff. Dudes just like, oh, I could see the light. Like I threw a pea grenade into a group of Russian dudes, and we finally like stormed their position, and they were rolling on the ground, calling out, and just like dudes just like holding their chests like and like keeling over before your eyes. And you're just like, man, that was awesome. So so you get hit, act out your death, and you can call for medic, yell and scream all you want. Anyone can come over and buddy aid you. So anyone can come over, reach into your IFAK, and wrap a bandage around wherever the hell they want. Honestly, like you wrap it around your head, your neck, your arm, and then you're back in the fight. If you are hit again, same thing. Call hit, act out your death. At that point, the medic has to make it over to you, or your teammates have to drag you back, physically drag you back to the medic. And at that point, the medic has to pull a water bottle from his med bag. You have to drink the whole water bottle. So this fulfills two things. It depletes resources that you have in your med bag. So if you only have 15 water bottles, you now have 14 water bottles. Okay,
Right.
so you've depleted resources, which is a real life thing in the military. If I heal you, if you get shot, I have to use resources from my med bag to heal you. That's one less person that I can deal with per se, depending on the severity of the injury. Um,
Like Saving Private Ryan, like give him the morphine or keep the morphine.
right,
Right.
right. Second thing it does, it forces the player to hydrate. So we didn't have any hydration issues because everyone was downing water. Um, and then one of the other things too is it took that time that you were drinking this water, it took you out of the fight, basically just like real wounded players. Now the medic is tied up and another guy. There were times where we had three dudes down, and I was just like, oh crap, I can't do anything else except hand out water bottles, and then take bandages off of people and bandage people up. Like it really, the medic rule to me was probably the most realistic for medics that I've ever seen, as opposed to the, oh, I got hit, dude, come bandage me, please. Wrap, 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 wrap. Okay, you're back in. Oh, I got hit
Yeah.
too over here. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Or
You know,
the masking tape.
yeah, yeah. Like it really gave more worth to the medic at that game. Like I was a very valuable asset. The other thing that was awesome too is if you killed enemy medics, so you could buddy aid medics, but if he got shot, like if I got shot twice, another medic would have to come over and heal me. We could
Right.
also steal water bottles from Russian medics and vice
Oh.
versa. So you could do this with ammo too. So this will probably be talked about more in video number 2, and you'll physically get to see it. Uh, we if you killed dudes, you could search them for intel and supplies. So if they had a bag of BBs on them, you could take their BBs and they would just be like,
Ugh.
they could be SOL.
Yeah. They'd be like, no. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
It gave really it was there was a lot of importance to staying alive, and not to the point where you were cheating. It was just like, okay, there's 4 of us, there's probably like 8 of them. We should probably fall back. Like that's the first. It's one of the few times I've ever seen people fall back in an airsoft game. Everyone's everyone's mindset is always to keep moving forward at games, and no one ever thinks like maybe if I fell back, I could not take the walk back to respawn, meet up with another group of guys, or rally some more people, and then push the objective with greater numbers, as opposed to, oh my goodness, I'm the last man alive. I better just PTFO and
Yeah,
just run
right.
out there into gunfire. Like
Right.
no. If I run out there right now, I'm going to get shot, and as the medic, I'm going to lose all my water bottles, and they're going to take all the ammunition off of me. No, I think I'm going to run back to friendly lines.
Right, right, right. Wow. Okay. Jeez. How many rounds did you? They just weigh it. They're like,
I'm not sure. Like, like the bag was probably. I don't even have a good. Like maybe like the size of this. No, less than that box. I don't know, man.
oh,
It's probably like
jeez.
500 BBs.
Oh man. God. Can't even imagine. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even imagine. That's good though. That's cool. That's cool. That's awesome. Okay. So when and I don't want to. I know you still got video coming out from probably a dozen things this year. Um, when do you think you will have guys can expect to see the series come out like as it trickles out, and maybe in the next couple weeks or you know.
Part two will most definitely come out sometime after Christmas. I wanted to get it done before Christmas because I know everyone, in the morning time, everyone's ripping open presents. Oh man, I got this, and then the afternoon you're just like, well, nothing to do but either play with
Right.
these new toys, which they're probably airsoft guns. Maybe you'll shoot around in the backyard or whatnot. So I anticipate a lot of people to be on YouTube watching videos,
Right.
getting hyped for the weekend. So I really tried to get it done before Christmas, but it's not going to happen. But don't fret, I have some other cool stuff. I've recently GoPro 4, the GoPro 4 just came out. I have some awesome footage with GoPro 4, with the GoPro 4 at 120 frames a second. So like probably some legitimately badass slow-mo scenes. I've got a scene of guys just running at me, and I'm just hosing them with an ARX 160. And I slowed it down. It looks phenomenal. It's like out of a video game. You see the BBs just flying through the air, and these guys just in slow-mo, like, oh. So
Very
that's
cool.
coming out. That's coming out Christmas Day. So
Okay. All right. Very
you guys
cool.
can look for that.
All right. So just we'll keep an eye out for the rest of the Crimea stuff. You got I know you got you must have some more ironclad stuff coming out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
One or two from that. Are you doing any more for uh Folda?
No, Fold the Gap, probably not. I might do like a little, like just some B-roll stuff of talking to people or whatnot. In my honestly, and this isn't bashing Fold the Gap. I didn't feel like Fold the Gap warranted a whole series.
Right.
Because quite honestly, not much was accomplished
Yeah. There's
at
no
Fold the Gap.
story. There's no
There's no
story to tell at
Yeah,
Folda.
yeah. I mean, there's no epic story I can tell you. It's basically
Yeah.
like Matt Washington, Samurai Matt, Catnip, and Lee and myself just tried to get into the middle of the gap and just shoot people. And I mean, we did it. It was ridiculous because it's just raining BBs the whole time, and we're hiding behind like this barrier that's like no bigger than my monitor. That was like the highlight of the day. Um, yeah, it's if you go to Fold the Gap, just bring a machine gun or just load yourself up with high caps because
Load up your high cap.
it's just yeah, you just go there and just shoot people. That's really the play. You just go
Oh.
there. It's a fucking Star Wars battle. It's great. Once you realize you showed up, to the Clone Wars battle from episode 6 or whatever, or episode 1 or 2, like you'll have a blast. Like I'm hoping I go back next year so I can bring a machine gun and just stand out there and just
Yeah, you got to get a got to bring out a Gatling gun, man.
yeah. Oh, dude, just support weapons are the way
Yeah.
to go. Just
Yeah, you gotta pick up one of those Echo One Gatling guns, or do something. Now you gotta figure it out, man. That's the way to do it up there,
yeah.
because yeah, that's the way it looks to me. It looks like it's just like guys battling it out, kind of like head to head, like going nuts in there. Um, all right, cool. So I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer, man. I appreciate you coming on. I will say this: I did just watch a video today, and it's funny about airsoft. Like, I consider myself, I know a lot about airsoft and a lot about the community, but I always find new content from people I never heard of. And I think the guy's name is Niles or Dials.
Oh,
Deal.
yep.
Yeah,
Dials
Dials.
46.
Yeah,
Yep.
Dials 46. You guys have an interview. You and Leah have an interview with him, and it's a
Yes.
really good interview. Talks a lot about a lot of stuff. Answers a lot of Jet the Desert Fox questions. Honestly, I'm glad you and Leah are dating. I could care less. It doesn't have anything to do with my airsoft life. It just means more angles at games. More video angles to me. But that's cool and all. But for the guys who want to hear about that, that's there. But also a lot of like stuff, like a lot of guys, you know, I like you as a person. I know you. You're a very cool guy. Um,
Aw, thanks. You're
yeah,
super cool too,
yeah, you're
James.
one of my bro crushes, man. You're one of my bro crushes. Um, but when you get to a certain level, you catch a lot of flack, and you're probably, you're a nice guy. You're better than that guy. You're like, whatever. But you answer some questions in the video that I think a lot of guys are like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? You know what I mean? So I think that's a good video for guys to watch. It's long. It's a long interview, but I think it's really good.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. It's a very, very cool video. Um, Jet, next year, are you going to play us?
Yes, you can definitely
Playa.
you can definitely catch me at the next MilSim West event, which is in February in Clovis, California. That's the Road to Rostov. I will most definitely be at Plius at American MilSim's Operation Copperhead. In case you didn't know the name,
Right.
that's the name of it. Um, I'm hoping to get back to Fold Gap, and then everything in between is still up in the air. I will say that this I actually do want to put out and make public. I am I am working with Evike to bring more games to the Midwest and East Coast.
Oh, that's great.
I know there's a lot of there's a huge gap in just I mean, MilSim and just normal, really big games that people can just show up to and have fun and meet more people. And so I'm hoping to have a schedule out, hopefully by February, of where we'll be bringing Evike Airsoft Nation to. So definitely the northern Midwest and hopefully somewhere in the northeast.
Very cool, man. That's great. We talked about this a little bit earlier. There's a kind of a dearth of good airsoft on the East Coast, and we're not really served by a lot of the big promoters. Just um, John Liu, and not so much Black Sheep anymore. So that's really cool. That I hope you guys make it out there. I'd love to see that, and it's always good to have some of you guys because a lot of the airsoft, celebrities, as we'll say, just regular people playing airsoft, but a lot of
Yeah.
them, are on the West Coast. So a lot of stuff that we do here on the East Coast doesn't get a lot of good coverage. So it'd be good to get you guys out here. Um, I was gonna say you should check out Raptor Tactical, RapTac. They're the guys
Hmm.
who do those events are Raptor One, and I'm gonna
Oh,
try to go to
okay.
one of their events next year. It seems it's gonna be a lot like the MilSim West event, a lot like it.
That's
Um,
good. That's
they
good.
go into a lot of detail with like medic, and they use kill, the kill cards, like, oh, you have a wound, this kind of wound, da da da, and they it goes through a lot of stuff, like when you're healing, you got to take off the plate carrier and kind of dig into it. So it seems it comes out to be I think it's gonna be very interesting. I kind of call it a boutique airsoft, boutique milsim event where it's like a certain kind of person will want to go to this. But I think if you like milsim West, you'll like this. And I'm gonna go to my first one next year. I definitely want to go to milsim West op. I don't know how I'm gonna make it happen if I can get to California with my box of crap, but we'll try. Um, but yeah, definitely. And you're gonna be at Shot Show, so we'll see Shot Show video from you
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
probably in February, something like that. So
Yeah.
that should be really good. Um, okay, man. I don't want to spoil the rest of your night. Enjoy yourself. Um, tell Leah I said what's up. All right. Actually, now that I got you on the phone, you can tell Leah she owes me an interview.
She did mention that right before I started this.
Good.
I just want to give one shout out to Leah because you touched on it a little bit. Like a lot of people do like wonder like, okay, what else do you do, Jet? Like all I ever see you do is airsoft and all sort of stuff. Leah's channel is basically dedicated to basically vlogging like about our lives within the industry. So you can see like the day-to-day stuff that goes into what it's like to be a career airsofter. Because honestly, that's kind like I try not to admit it, and it even blows my mind sometimes. But quite honestly, all I do for a living now is play airsoft. I have
Dude,
my
that's
YouTube
awesome.
channel, and I have
Shut the fuck up. That's awesome. Okay, you're like, I don't want to admit it. I'd be like, I'm a career airsofter. Go f yourself. Okay. There's in that dials video. It's like you're like guys say whatever they want to me. I say, well, enjoy your 9 to 5. I'm going to play airsoft. And I
yeah.
was like, that's awesome. That's what I'm talking about. I want to be there. This week in airsoft is like nothing but a money pit. So I would love to be there. So that'd be awesome. But yeah, I just saw her. She just walked through. Tell her that she owes me an interview.
All
I've
right,
interviewed
we'll do.
Adela, and she needs to give me some time so I can and so we can talk about her everything she's doing. But man, it's a pleasure having you on, and you're welcome to come on anytime. And I'm gonna harass you anytime I want. So
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm down with it. Anytime you want me on,
yeah,
we could talk about, more MilSim West, the birds, the bees, whatever you want to talk about, man.
cool.
I'm just here. I'm just here.
Just here. All right, man. So we'll try to see you next year, and guys, I'll be posting up Jet's videos as they come out, as always. So definitely check them out. All right. Jet, again, thank you.
No prob, no prob.
For Jet and This Week in Airsoft, I'm James, and we're out. Adele Relentless, how are you? How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on. You've had a busy year. You've been everywhere 3 times and twice on Sunday this year. If they said op, you were hopping on a plane or getting in a car.